Hey everybody, welcome to Love and Relo, the voice of the relocation industry. And we are here in Dallas, live at the FEM Summit of the Americas. And I'm here with Barbara Fertilova from FEM as well. How are you doing, Barbara?
I'm good. How are you? Welcome, everyone.
Yeah, and you can hear it's noisy because there's a lot of action going on right now. Get in the comments, hit that like button. Go ahead and ask us questions if you want to. Share your favorite FEM memory or thought, or if you want to hear kind of what's going on. I just want to know what you want to know out there because we are in it right now in the expo area. There's a lot of people just kind of coming and going and networking right now, eating gratuitous amounts of brownies right now. Barbara, how's the conference going right now? We're middle of day one.
Yeah, it's going really well. It's really busy. We changed the venue. So last year we were at the UTD. This year we went for the hotel in Uptown.
It's a gorgeous hotel, by the way.
It's an amazing hotel. The food, as you said, is amazing. I think the sessions are very, very busy. And the whole program is very, it's really interesting. So, and we did bring the aspect of the UTD back to the conference as well. So apart from the delegates, we have the students as well. So the audience is amazing this year.
And the students are going to be presenting in about 1 hour in this room back here. And they're going to be presenting what, Barbara?
So there's going to be a case competition. We've got top 3 student teams who've been through different rounds of their own school competition. So we're getting the best of the best, basically, from the UTD and the future global mobility professionals. And it's going to be a competition. They have their mentors here, which are basically our regular delegates. And we're going to vote for the very best winner today, basically live.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Can you hear us out there? Let me know. Adam, see if we're still having a mic difficulty or not. Let me know. We're good. We're all good, he's telling me. This place is jam-packed with so many great professionals. But real quick, a note about the hotel. This hotel is a historic hotel.
It is a landmark. So they celebrate their 100th anniversary this year.
Wow. That's old for us. Y'all have old stuff over in Europe, but that's old for us.
It is. And because it's the 100th anniversary, they were built in 1924. We are doing the 1920s themed Emma's dinner tomorrow as well. So it's going to be all flappers and gangsters. And
flappers and gangsters. Wow. So do you have your outfit picked out already?
I do. I think most of the ladies might come up, in the typical Amazon 20s dresses.
Okay.
Yeah, I think everyone puts a lot of effort into this. Yeah, especially ladies. So
I'll be wearing my pinstripes tomorrow. I'm very excited about it. It's hard to find a time to wear pinstripes. Hit that like button, get in the comments here. But I want to ask you, as one of the organizers and one of the forces that kind of brings this whole thing together, what's the hardest part of putting this whole thing together? It's pretty magnificent.
Yeah, I think it's literally the last couple of hours and days before the event. Because you put a lot into it. It takes us a few months up to a year to prepare it. But there's always basically expect unexpected, all the changes and everything. But once we're here, once we meet people and it's basically running, it's perfect. So
yeah, and people like me that wait till the last minute to reach out and say, hey, can I do a podcast with you? Yeah, sure, let's find a table for you. And y'all were amazing with that and so welcoming too. What are you looking forward to most as far as a programming standpoint?
Well, the summit one, I literally cannot choose from the agenda because there's so much going on for both suppliers and corporates. Of course, we have the competition, which is an amazing live aspect of the event, and the Emmas that are going to be amazing. And we're basically sold out. We literally have 3 tickets left on that.
Yeah, the Emmas are always a classic.
So, yeah, it's literally everything. But for me, it's the people who come here. We have many, many new faces and our regulars. So I think that's it. It's all about people.
And right behind us right now at the floor for Expat Management America Summit, there is a session coming together, which I really appreciate because you do a phenomenal job bringing corporate attendees out. But this one's for the suppliers behind us. Why was it important for you to do a supplier-only session?
Well, I think it's really important for them to just have something exclusive for them because we do sessions where suppliers host corporates only. We have corporates hosting corporates only. But I think they did come here to network, but they also came here to learn. So I think it's quite really important to do something specific only for them because we do appreciate them a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and now we get to complain about the clients too. No, it's fun. It's very. No, I'm
No,
just
they're
kidding.
all amazing. We love them.
I mean, find better ways to serve them. That's what I meant to say. No, it's very good. So now we're wrapping up. Kind of, we're coming to the end of the first day here, and there's 2 more sessions going on as we talked about, and then tomorrow. What can people look forward to tomorrow?
So tomorrow, again, we have a different mix of panel discussions, exclusive workshops. We have, again, a corporate hosted roundtable, supplier sessions. We do have a new session, which is a panel created just out of our chapter leads. And these are ladies only. So these are the ladies who lead our New York, Connecticut, Detroit, Mexico, and Houston chapters. And we're going to talk a lot about our small in-house events, which we do throughout the year, and there's a lot to look forward to.
So now tell me about these chapters, though, because that's something I don't know. Everybody knows that you have chapters. How many chapters approximately do you have?
Ooh, I think at the moment we have around maybe like 20 to 30 chapters. We have much more that we're about to start or restart. These chapters are literally everywhere: Americas, Europe, Middle East, Asia, and especially American ones are doing really, really well.
I need to know about. Is there a Dallas chapter?
So there is a Houston one, and if we
we hate Houston. We hate Houston, so we need a Dallas chapter here.
I know.
I might have to
think
get
there is
involved.
a really good potential for a really good
Okay,
lead here.
here we go. Let's go. I always love a good gathering.
Details later.
Oh, very nice, very good.
Yeah.
So, what happens at the chapter level that maybe doesn't happen at the regional, continental level?
So they're much more private. You have 20 to 50. Well, we actually had 80 people this year, and people get much more exposure and space to talk and present themselves, and especially the suppliers. We have lots of corporates there as well. It is being hosted by one of our clients. It's like a half day to 1 day event, mix of networking, of course, a really nice catering and network, many other opportunities. And we do roundtables, we do some of the sessions, but it's mostly focused on the networking and basically every single attendee getting a lot of visibility that they usually wouldn't get in the events like these with hundreds of people.
I like it. And the corporate involvement, I got to say again, is just second to none from a sheer ratio of corporate folks that attend. And that's really what makes this so valuable. Richard says someone got the link for LinkedIn. Yeah, Adam, can you put the LinkedIn link in the comments, maybe on Facebook? Let everybody know. I've also just reposted it as well. So very cool. And look, we've got Hiba checking in here over here. Hiba, can we steal you? Yeah. Can we steal Hiba real quick?
Perfect.
Barbara, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been phenomenal. Great. Thanks so much. We'll catch up with you later. Hiba, come on over. I love it. We have matching jewelry, by the way. I'm a big fan. Big fan of your necklace here.
Thank you.
Hiba Amber over here from Erickson Immigration Group. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
What do you think of the FEM conference?
So I think it's a great conference. I think it's a great turnout, but what I really enjoy is the content. Even though I'm here in my vendor supplier capacity, I still feel like I learned something, So it's great.
Now, are you speaking this year?
I spoke this morning, and you were not there for it, Ben.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hiba doesn't miss a beat. Why don't you tell us for all of us who weren't there this morning, why don't you tell us what you talked about?
So I had the opportunity to join a panel of a group of just amazing and extremely accomplished women. And basically what we were talking about was kind of a back to basics where we addressed, compliance issues in the global mobility industry, talked about immigration, talked about tax, and really focused on what I kept calling the new normal in terms of, how employees want to work and where they want to work and the logistical challenges that companies are experiencing in an attempt to kind of, come up with policy to accommodate that.
Is there a new normal though? Because obviously with the pandemic, there was this, enormous shift in working remotely, digital nomadism, all these kinds of problems. And now what I'm reading in the newspapers, what I'm reading in the news is that companies are trying to bring people back into the office. So where do you see that shaking out?
So that's a great question,
Thank
and I
you. I
think
tried
that
really
that's
hard. I was doing that this morning during your session. I was writing questions.
so it's a great question. I think it's a very accurate observation. Um, I think that it differs from company to company. I don't think that I'd be able to paint, all companies or the industry with a very kind of like broad brush.
Mhm.
But I will tell you that yes, companies might not be as keen to accommodate various different requests because they themselves are trying to encourage employees back into an office. And sometimes that doesn't really work for them in terms of the employee's desire to maybe work in a different location. Because if the company ends up having an entity or presence in that country where the employee wants to go, that in and of itself can create certain like
Yeah.
compliance issues. So I don't know if I've answered your question well, but I'll tell you that I do kind of see what you're observing, and it has differed from company to company. Um, Conversely, some companies went ahead and did a remote first
Mm.
work policy, and they encourage all forms of remote work. So the new normal, to answer your question, is companies really like embracing either like a remote first or a digital first, but it doesn't work for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it depends probably on job function, on city, on the leader. Sometimes I see some really large professional services firms leaving it up to the leader or the partner that people report into, which is also kind of interesting because then you wonder about different types of cultures forming in the same organization and different types of employee experiences and equity, frankly, across the board. It's really interesting. But I like what you mentioned about compliance before because, as we talk about the headwinds in the global mobility industry from a service provider side and some of the challenges that are happening, one of the tailwinds, I think, is the need to try to be compliant as people are crossing borders in different ways more frequently. It feels like business travel versus permanent assignments, things like that. So it feels like compliance is one of the areas of real growth. What are you saying?
So I think that the importance and significance of compliance has never been more obvious to
Mm-hmm.
companies. Obviously,
That's a good way to put
compliance
it.
is like I mean, it's a core. It's a core
Yeah.
aspect of any company's program, whether it's immigration or tax or what have you. Compliance is a big deal, but never has it been as kind of like apparent and
Mm-hmm.
obvious to a lot of the stakeholders within these companies that compliance is like a really important consideration than it is now, because employees are traveling and working in such different
Right.
kind of like the new normal type
Mm-hmm.
environment. So I think that you're right. I think that like there's a lot of growth in terms of compliance, but I think a lot of that is also driven by different countries implementing different compliance requirements. There's changes in rules and regulations and laws and whatnot, and I'm sure you're aware.
Some of it.
It's
It's a lot to keep track of.
so it's a lot to keep
Yeah.
track of. Like there have been like a lot of like even like data privacy and
Mhm.
information security type regulations and laws that have come out. But also, I think one of the things that people are going to be watching in the next several months is the extent to which compliance requirements change or evolve as a result of elections and changing administrations. Because
A lot of
what's
elections.
what's the thing that you think about when you think about compliance? You think about consequences,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
You
it's
think
fear
about
driven. I mean, it's not about opportunity to gain business. It's what happens if we get sued? What happens if we get fined? What happens if we get kicked out of a country because we weren't compliant?
and different leaders and different administrations have different areas of compliance that they like to emphasize, right? And so for that reason, I think that not only is there a lot of growth, but there's a lot of potential for some change.
Hmm.
Some change.
Interesting. Well, this has been really good here, Heba. Thank you for stopping by and saying hey. I know you got a session to go to there, and thanks for sharing your insights here.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Yeah,
Thank you.
awesome. I'll take that, and you can go about learning and stuff. Now I got two mics over here. Very cool. We're standing outside of this session right now. I'm whispering because the door is open as people are learning, actively learning right now. Let's see. Can you hear me out there on LinkedIn? Let me know here. Richard saying, there you go, Richard. Appreciate you. Elections, yup. 4th of July elections in the UK announced today. What's that about, Richard? I'm not familiar with those July 4th elections. So let me know about that. July 4th is an important day here in the States, as it's our American Independence Day, where we actually got got away from you Brits. All kidding aside, but I didn't know it was actually election day. So put that in the comments. I'd love to know more about that. We're going to see if we can't grab somebody else over here to see how their experience is going here. Let's see. Hey, Doris, how you doing? Come over here, Doris. A lot of you saw Doris Camp yesterday on LOVE+RELO from Glomo HQ, and she's over there, man, in the furnished quarters booth there representing in a big way. Doris, get over here. How are you doing, friend? Hold that. How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
Good.
How has your FEM been going?
It's been really well. It's been really, really good.
Sorry.
Sorry.
These are hard to remember sometimes.
I don't want to put that in. No, it's been really good. The weather, thank God, is behaving.
It's
I
holding
was
out.
a little worried about that.
Well, the cocktail hour is in a couple of hours.
I'm worried about that.
Is it going to hold out on us? As
I don't know.
The temperature drops, because right out those doors over there, you can't see this, but right out those doors is a pool, and there will be cocktails by the pool.
They're getting ready for it right now.
Yeah, weather permitting. Hey, Clay. Yeah, so.
No, it's been great. Met a lot of new people. We have a lot. We still have a lot of people still to arrive. We have a lot of badges over there.
Yeah.
So it's been really, really good.
How's it going? People are just passing by right here, going into that session right now for this is a supplier only session. Yeah.
Wow.
That's dangerous.
I know. I need to be going in there in a few minutes.
See what's going on in there, right?
I need to check it out.
What, now, Doris, you were one of the first people that taught me about the value of FEM. Why is it such an important gathering for you each year?
Meeting new people, and learning more about their business. And not only that, even the existing people that we meet with, there's always things to talk about.
Yeah.
To understand if there's changes.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Hit that like button right now. Get in the comments there. I see Jill checking in here. What's up? Checking in from Connecticut. I have FOMO. Hope everyone is enjoying FEM. Had a great time attending last year. Yeah, Jill, get your butt over here. Let's go. Have some fun with us.
Great.
Farrell, dying to know what the topic is for the supplier only session. We need more of those. Yeah, what are they talking about in there? Should we just go in there and see what's going on? Yeah, I'm getting a thumbs up over here from event staffing team. Says, yeah, we should just go in there and just see what's going on in there. Claire, what's going on in the supplier only session? People are wanting to know. They're commenting. They want to know what we're talking about over here. Get over here, Claire.
Come on.
We've got Claire in real life. I'm going to steal Doris's. Claire,
Hello.
What's going on in the supplier only session?
Oh, now you've put me on the spot. But it is Susie Chapman from
Yes,
FM
we
Global.
love Susie.
Yeah,
FM Global.
so she's going to be talking about sort of vendor should I start again?
Ecosystem.
Ecosystem.
Yeah,
Thank you,
cut,
Ben.
edit that, restart.
Yeah.
No, why was it important to do a supplier only session? I mean, with such an emphasis, you always do such a wonderful job with the corporates and giving them space and roundtables.
That's fine. Yeah, because I want to make sure that we're giving
Well,
suppliers
thank you.
something good too.
Yes.
That's useful to them. We always stage something that's specifically for them and only for them, so that they can talk freely without their clients in the room.
Yes, that's what we need. We need some benchmarking here. What can we get away with? I mean, how can we better serve our clients? I'm happy you did it. It's really good.
Oh, thank you.
How is the conference? The conference is buzzing. The energy is very high here.
Yeah.
People are excited. A lot of new faces. People
Yes.
meeting. Things happening.
Yes,
What's
absolutely.
it like from your perspective?
My perspective, I'm actually really happy today. I think it's gone well. I've really enjoyed the level of engagement, lots of comments and questions from the audience. I think the panels have been really strong and the expert insight sessions. So yeah, I think we've had a really nice mix of topics, but there's the other thing that I love about these events is that you go from the first sort of session all the way through the day, and then there are threads that keep on, you keep on pulling them through. And it's really interesting to see different perspectives and how everything kind of interrelates. And that's global mobility, I guess. But,
and so we have this session going on now, and then at 4:00, the UTD students are going to present.
Yes, a fresh set of 3 teams. They're all competing with the same challenge. Don't ask me what it is because it's about 2 paragraphs long.
So, and this is like the finalists, right? Because there's
is.
more teams, and then
Yes.
we whittle them down to the 3 top teams.
Exactly.
And so by the time the competition gets to the last 3, I mean, these are quality teams.
Yes, yes. I think they started off with something like 16 teams, and so this is And when they get towards the final stage, they get to work with a mentor, so they get some really top class
Sure.
coaching. They're very lucky to have
Yeah.
it, and I know certainly some of the coaches we've got here today. I know the coaches. One Rui from KPMG said she's nervous for them because she feels she wants them to win. Because
I know a lot of adults that wouldn't get on that stage and present a case.
I think
And
they're
to do it in
extraordinary.
your early 20s to get on that stage and
I know.
present a case to a room full of experts in the field.
Yes.
I mean, that
Yes,
takes some
yes.
real
Chutzpah?
courage.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Chutzpah, there we go. Yeah.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah, no, it does. But I think it's also a fantastic skill to have. And the more you do it,
Yes.
the easier it becomes. I mean,
Yes.
you must know this because I
Yeah.
assume when you first got in front of the camera,
Yeah.
did you feel slightly...
Oh,
it's
first of
hard
all,
to
every
believe
day,
now,
every
but-
day it happens. But yes,
No.
with repetition, it gets better. And,
Yes.
and practicing it, and I'm so proud of them, and they're so bright, such
Yes.
bright
Yes.
young people.
Yes.
And our industry is really fortunate that they're curious about what we do.
Yes. I think it's amazing. It was one of the things that really struck me when I was first invited to UTD 2 years ago to help judge the competition. They all seemed so well presented and professional. They were so good and polite and so good at kind of interacting with people. I'm kind of thinking of my student days when we just kind of went to the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Just trying to get through the class, go to the bar,
Yes.
do it, rinse and repeat. Yeah, totally. And as I get to know them and how smart they are and globally curious they are, and
Yes.
multicultural. I mean, many of them are doing this because they're bringing their own global mobility story
Yes.
with them.
Yes, that's the other thing. I think that's the other interesting thing about UTD and the JSON, that how international it is. And
Yes.
and I know Hubert Zadorek, Professor Zadorek, can't be here today because he's taken a group to Japan.
Wow.
He came back recently from I think Kenya, and he's been to Rwanda recently. They're doing so many things, not just within America, but really going to very interesting parts of the world.
Yeah, and when I see the talent that this Global Mobility Club has attracted, honestly, since I'm in kind of the talent acquisition and talent management space,
Yeah.
I feel like the onus is on us as an industry to create opportunities worthy of this talent.
Yes.
Because, I think sometimes what will happen when I talk to these youngsters is they get very excited about being a global mobility consultant.
Yes.
And they think they're going to be some sort of foreign attaché or
Yeah.
something,
Aw.
and then they realize, okay, I'm actually doing customer service for some VIP executive moving, for a multinational company. It's not exactly, this Carmen Sandiego moment I thought it was going to be. So I think we need to provide these career paths for young people, because some of these people are pre-law, or they are political science. I mean, they have some real aspirations,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
think we have to find opportunities. But if we can, the reward that we'll reap, because we need to be propelled forward as well as an
Yes,
industry.
yes. And I think they seem much more focused in terms. Yes, they want to try lots of different things, but they're much more focused about what they want to achieve in their career. Whether they might not be so clear about which sort of sector they want to be in or whatever, but they do know that they want to, climb that path. Whereas I feel my generation, we kind of came out of college and university, and I thought, I don't know what I want to do.
Right.
But I wasn't unusual. It was that happened a lot, and I think now they're much more sort of focused. They come out already like young professionals, and that can only be a good thing really for them, for their careers, but also the industry needs to tap into that talent, but think about what we need to do to not only attract them but to keep them, if you want to
keep them and challenge them.
Yes.
So that they can challenge our companies and our business models. Hit that like button, get in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts on talent acquisition and talent management and the growth, career pathing within this industry. I mean, it's a running joke that none of us went to college for this, and we all fell into this industry,
that over and over.
over and over again. But I mean, what if you went to college for this? What if you went to university
Yes.
for this? And
Well, I think this generation
Yeah.
are being educated.
Yeah, I think
that
so.
way, aren't they?
yeah, it's definitely a big opportunity there. Richard's getting in the comments there. We appreciate the Londoners here. It says public speaking research puts it ahead of death and what we were all afraid of most. Yes, it is the number one fear. He's getting excited about helping some students in University of Birmingham and an incubator
Oh, wow.
program. Oh, that's very nice, Richard.
Get in touch with us, Richard, please.
Yeah.
In the UK, we want to reach out to more universities there too. So
And I can
already
personally
work
say
with
that
some.
we have had 2 or 3 interns from UTD
Yeah.
at our company.
Oh, really?
And because we also do recruitment, we have placed at least one member of the Global Mobility Club
Yes.
at a relocation management company
Wow.
here in Dallas.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, there, it is working.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And in fact, I was talking to a corporate who went to UTD, and she took Professor Zadorik's class
Oh, right.
on global business and global HR. She ended up going into, she actually ended up working at an RMC,
Ah.
and then going and getting a corporate role. And so her career path has kind of continued this way. And
Yeah.
I was able to actually reconnect her with Professor Zadorik after 7 years or
Yes.
something like
Oh,
that.
lovely.
Yeah, so it was a really neat full circle
Yeah,
kind of moment. Yeah.
Oh, really nice.
It's really lovely.
Yeah.
Well, so here we are. We're getting towards the end of day 1 here. And I got to tell you, I'm looking at that pool and I'm ready for cocktails. Do we think the weather's going to hold out for us to do the poolside reception?
Well, it's partly covered, so I think we'll be all right. But we have a contingency plan, so we're going to
Always
set
a
up
backup.
another bar in here just in case. But I think we're going to take the chance.
It's-
We've come from Britain. We're used to this.
Yeah,
kind
this
of
is
weather,
nothing,
so
right? I mean, a
this is
couple of
nothing.
clouds is
And it's
a nice
warm.
day.
It's warm. I
It's
mean, we
warm.
don't have to have hats and coats on. So
Yes.
yeah, we think we go out to the beach and we go in a coat and a hat. So
Yeah.
we think that's exciting.
Yeah, this is beach weather in the
Yes,
UK.
yes,
I
it
love
is.
it. So now this is the second year that you've done it in Dallas.
Third,
Why-
actually.
Third year.
Yeah, we were here in 2019 before the pandemic.
Third year you've done it
Yeah.
in Dallas. To echo the sentiments of a speaker, why Dallas?
Well, partly the connection with UTD. That's what
Mhm.
brought us back last year, and that has kind of kept us coming back this year. Partly, but also because of the connections that we made in the business community.
Yep.
We've always had pretty strong chapters here in Houston and,
Mhm.
and Dallas. We've got a great one that Rui's running in Houston. And we want to get that Dallas one going again.
Mhm.
We used to do a one-day conference in Houston, actually, was sort of oil and gas.
Yeah.
But then, that industry
That industry
took a bit,
goes up and
and
down.
I think, and then COVID happened, and so
Mhm.
by then we'd introduced our European conference, our Amsterdam thing, and there's only so many hours in the day.
Mhm.
But I feel as though we've always had pretty strong connection here, and echoing what Chris Wallace was saying this morning, the growth in business here is phenomenal. But not only that, it's the diversity of the business sectors, but also the people
Yeah.
here, and that's, I would say, from a personal point of view and from our team's point of view, we like coming here because people are so friendly and so
Mhm.
kind. They really are, and I love coming back to see people like you
Yeah.
and everyone that we get to see each time, and we're very fortunate that people fly in, but then Dallas has got good connections transport wise.
Oh, and it's good.
Lots of things
I've
going
flown.
for it.
I've flown direct to Heathrow from DFW Airport.
Yeah,
It's just pretty neat.
Yeah.
Didn't know they did that, and it was very
that's how
happy
we
to
got
find
here.
that. Yeah, happy to find that out.
Yeah.
Michael Hughes getting in the comments says, Houston, we got to vote for Houston. Well, let me get a vote against Houston over here. Hey, Meredith over here. There's a Houstonian. Come here, Meredith. How are you doing?
I gotta come
Meredith
in here.
Morris,
Hey,
how are you
everyone.
doing?
I'm awesome. How are you, Ben?
I'm phenomenal. How's your FEM conference going?
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. More
Oh.
people should be here.
Yeah.
You
Well,
really should.
But you know what I'm struck by all the time? The amount of corporate folks
Yes.
and the caliber of professional that
Correct.
is here. Very high level folks here.
Very much.
And very influential people.
Yep.
A lot of thought leaders here
Yep.
in this room, and wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful people like Meredith.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Be like Meredith. Be
I
like
love
me.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. And I noticed you're wearing the pinstripes. Is that in
Yeah.
anticipation for the Great Gatsby 1920s themed Emma's
Gala.
tomorrow night?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Have
Do
to
you have your outfit?
represent. I do.
Yeah. Picked out? Okay.
I do. I
Oh,
think it's
such a
gonna be
shame you're not
great.
gonna be
I
there,
know.
Ben. Oh.
Well, we'll see. My wife's got a book club tomorrow, so Apparently, it's been on the calendar for a month. So I need to be present. And then, trust me, I've been working on it. Okay, I'm working on it over here.
There we go.
I'm working on it. Good to see you,
Yeah,
man.
good to see you too. How you got out there on your?
We got people get in the comments, hit that like button.
Yeah.
Michael Hughes saying represent Meredith here.
Hey, Michael.
He's saying Texas is becoming the relo capital of the Americas. It's an astute point here.
Love it.
Claire, I know you got things to do here.
I'm sorry, yes.
Maybe I'll steal Meredith. Let me steal
Check
Meredith here.
on people.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Claire. Wonderful event. We're gonna keep it going here.
All right.
All
We're
right,
gonna
bring
keep
it over
the party
here.
going.
We got
I love
Meredith
parties.
Morris over here. It's
Yeah.
good to see you.
Good to
friend.
see you too. Yeah.
This is great.
This is good. So I saw you roll in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was the entrance?
It was great. It was
Better
grand.
late than never.
Yeah. It was like, wow, you decided to come. That's great.
He decided to come. There was ever a doubt. No.
Okay.
Well, it's always hard when you do. I call them home games. When there's a
Right.
conference in your
Yes.
town, then your family is looking at you like,
Yeah.
yeah, you go to work every day, Dad. Like, doesn't mean you need to be staying out late, and doesn't mean you need to
Yeah.
pay for a hotel downtown because. But if you don't, it's hard to immerse yourself.
Yeah,
So
you're
I'm
100%
pulled.
correct. Yeah, no, you're right. It's same thing like in H-Town when we have our
Yeah.
conferences
Yeah,
there.
y'all host a lot of conferences in H-Town.
We do. We have a lot of different events that happen there.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. More people should come.
But I think we agree. It's Dallas's moment right now. You
yeah,
know,
it really is
Houston-
Dallas's moment.
Houston's
Sorry, I
having
got to
enough.
quit talking about. I got to represent Dallas now. So there we go.
There we
Pure
go, here.
Texas girl
I love
happening
it.
here.
I love it.
Yeah.
Um,
So what's going on out in the audience out there?
They're just hanging out. Michael's lobbying for a Houston conference, and we're shooting them down left and right over here. You know how we do. But
yeah.
how's business? What are you seeing from your angle? Because you're kind of in a different but
I am.
growing segment. Now.
I am in a different but growing segment. So in case, folks out there don't know what I do, is it okay if I share
Yeah,
that? Is that
go
all
ahead.
right? All right, perfect.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm with a company called Global Expansion, and we're an employer of record.
Yeah.
And so we're finding that a lot of mobility professionals, obviously their roles are changing, and some of them are taking in this type of service line
Mhm.
to support the larger goals within their organization. So, that's what we're seeing is that change. And in case anyone doesn't know what an employer of record is,
Tell 'em.
let me tell them. Thanks, Ben. I love that. Tee it up. Tee it up.
Meredith's gonna be selling sham wows by the end of the show. No, just kidding. No, this is important. This is,
it is.
one of the few growing segments of global mobility.
It really is. So basically what an employer of record does is we work directly with corporations, and we employ their people in international markets where they do not have an entity to operate or do business. So we basically become their arm of their international HR department, and we're able to hire their people compliantly and legally in these international markets. And we avoid permanent establishment because we pay all the in-country taxes, we payroll the professionals, we make sure any benefits and social burdens are taken care of so that they can be in that country legally.
I love it.
To work.
I love it.
It's pretty interesting.
And we've been talking about compliance so much, and I feel like
Yeah.
what your company does really solves the compliance thing pretty quick and easy.
Oh
for
yeah.
people.
It's quick to market speed,
Mhm.
especially for, it's interesting because, there's a lot of different conversations happening here at FEM, talking about working with talent acquisition, talking about talent mobility, how the role of mobility is changing. These are many topics that have been discussed today, and employer of record is giving a lot of organizations that flexibility to meet these strategic goals when it comes to aligning with talent acquisition, especially when it comes to like finding talent in international markets and hiring those individuals. The remote worker that was talked about today.
Mhm.
We talked about remote workers, even though I think everyone's getting kind of tired of the topic. Kind of hear that.
Well, it's
but
interesting. I mean,
it's
what's
still
going to happen
there.
with remote workers? I mean, I'm seeing, companies that are trying to pull people back in the office and
Yeah.
sending some pretty strong signals to the workforce, and things like, you're not going to get promoted, you're not going to get a raise, you can work from home, but I mean, essentially communicating that people are, it's not going to be the same type of arrangement, the same type of opportunities available. And it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
I think it's really interesting as well because we're dealing with a lot of that, and we're dealing still with populations of individuals that have relocated and they're still refusing to move back to where their entities are. And so the companies are struggling because they want to retain this talent. But you're right, because it was said in a session earlier today, somebody mentioned, hey, listen, it's great that you have the hybrid schedule, right? So maybe you are off Mondays and Fridays, you work remotely and you come in 3 days a week. But there are younger generations that are entering the workforce. Their first question, someone said it today, is, what's your remote work policy?
Yeah.
And they're asking that as part of as part of what they're looking for when they're looking for these roles with these organizations. So I don't know how it's going to
Yeah,
shake out.
it's really interesting because if it's like, I want you in office, but if you're insisting on being remote, maybe I should hire someone in a lower cost of living country, because it's like, if you're not in the office anyway, why am I paying 90% of a wage when I could be paying 50% of a wage?
I deal with that right now. I actually work with companies. I'm working with companies on hiring developers and coders in, other markets where they can hire these individuals for half the price of what they would pay someone, in other European markets or even here in the US.
Yeah.
And they can hire them and we put them on our payroll and we hire them underneath our entity. So they're able to find this labor to support these roles.
Yeah. Richard's got a question for you, Meredith.
I love that. Hey, Richard.
Richard says, I've heard that offering of hybrid work is one of the most important factors in attracting talent. What do you think, Meredith, please?
I think it depends on the vertical that someone's in, because it's a great question, but I don't know that that's, I don't know. I think it really depends as far as the individual is concerned.
I think
and maybe the vertical that you work in
I think
too.
It attracts talent, but does it work for the business?
Right.
Because yes, you could attract talent. You could also attract talent by doubling wages, but does it work for the business?
Right.
And is it in keeping with like the strategy of what they're trying to do? So yes, it is definitely, when we see a remote job, like we do recruiting. When we see a remote job, like, oh, we could fill that. Right. Even if the salary and compensation isn't as strong, because there's people even within the US that live in lower cost of living areas.
Exactly.
And we could fill it there. And frankly, people are willing to take a pay cut for that flexibility. Right. I think that's the other thing, Richard, that what people aren't talking about is it's good for attracting talent, but remote work, and I know you asked the question about hybrid work, because I'm going all the way remote here, but remote work also means that you have less real estate overhead. Yep. It means that you can pay, I hate to say it, but it means you can pay less. We're seeing 10 to 20% haircuts for, that people are willing to take to have the flexibility to work remotely. So it is a cost saving measure. And in a tough economic time for some verticals, I can understand why people are doing that. But I also see a lot of CEOs that are saying, hey, we need to really circle the wagons here and start to figure out what we're going to do to push through some of these economic headwinds. And I need to have people around the table to do that.
Exactly. And there's been conversations that, having that hybrid schedule, back to your point, Richard, because that was your question, having that hybrid model, especially for that younger talent, does enable them to get to know the organization and the key players and those internal key stakeholders within the organization that are within the office. The remote working is still something that many companies do, but I think maybe if you took the tech space, let's talk about that. Like you talk about the tech space, that's become just a staple core item, is having remote work as a continuous offering. But let's talk about maybe engineering or consulting type work. It might be just a little bit different, where you do need to collaborate and you want to work with mentors within the organization, especially so that you can continue to elevate yourself.
Yeah. Really good point. Rich has a follow-up question here. He says, remote work, if it's global, has tax implications, I guess. Where is tax paid is the question.
That's a good, you know what, Richard? It's a great question. No, I think it's an awesome question for me. Thank you. So if we are managing the remote work, we pay the taxes in country because we're actually hiring that individual underneath our entity. However, Richard, to your point, there are many companies that are still allowing remote work globally, and they're still using the 90-day rule that, okay, you can go work anywhere in the world for 90 days and, break it up, whatever you want to do. And they're just waiting for something to happen. So I've seen a large spectrum of how companies are managing it. It just depends on how risk averse they are. There's others that are no, they manage to the T and they are allowing it, but the tax implications, they're monitoring those with their tax provider and they're putting, solid programs in place. So I think that that's still something that's all over the map. I've seen organizations do it in many different ways.
There we go. Farrell's got a question here. Love the questions, y'all.
Yeah,
Hit
me
that
too.
like button. Get in the comments here. Farrell says, interesting that the questions around what a company's remote work policy is standard now. Would never have even come up 4 years ago. Companies are starting to require in-office hybrid work slowly.
That's right. We heard a lot about that today here at this conference. It is something that's coming back, and I do believe it. And you mentioned it. There's, most of that's being driven by senior leadership, more from the CEO perspective, to drive their organization's strategic goals.
Well, and the thing about hybrid too that's tricky is if it's hybrid for flexibility, then that would mean I would think you would give employees choice on which 3 days a week they're going to work in the office. But now if it's not overlapping with their senior leadership team or their team,
Right.
cross-functional or their functional team, then are they getting the face time and the collaboration that we're setting out to design for?
Exactly.
So it's kind of tricky. So then you almost have to say, well, we're going to be in office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Mhm.
But now you're not really giving flexibility. You're just making commutes easier and stuff.
Exactly. So, it's a really good point that you bring up, but I'll also tell you that I have to think and believe this. And obviously I'm not in talent acquisition, but I would think that if a company is looking at similar candidates with similar skill sets, and one is willing to work the hybrid schedule and has no issues with it, and the other wants to be 100% remote, most likely they're going to pick the other candidate that fits better with their, with their culture within their organization and their requirements for that role.
Yeah, really good conversations here. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it. Hit that like button. If you've got any other comments, put them in there. So go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to ask you a question, but you go ahead.
I like questions. Ask me a question. You're getting all the questions. You're getting some real good ones here.
Hey, I love our audience out there.
Yeah,
I like them.
All right, Meredith, what question do you have for me?
All right. So I was going to flip and I was going to ask you, what are you seeing out there in the industry? Like, what are you hearing about? Because it seems that there's a lot more alignment going on. There's a lot more strategic type talk. But Ben, from your perspective, what are you hearing from all of these folks that we have, that we work side by side with?
I'm hearing a combination of things. I'm hearing that there's going to be a peak season this year for our domestic friends that didn't really see one last year, which was horrifying.
That's awful.
But I'm hearing that there's going to be a peak season. I'm hearing a lot of this survive till 25 mantra.
Wow, I have not heard that.
I've heard this,
I like it.
I've heard it from 2 different association leaders. Survive till 25, and it feels like we're just hanging on for dear life. I don't love the mantra survive. So I think there's things we can do in the next 6 months until 25 rolls around. I'm hearing that people are saying their clients are hesitant to make big changes or whatever because of the election, and they're wait and see until the election. And the more I talk to service providers, we're like, what are you waiting for? What's going to happen? One of 2 things is going to happen. And then what? The project goes forward. So this whole I think we overemphasize the importance of who the president of the United States is on our day-to-day business. Now, I understand our friends in immigration; they might have a specific, but the amount of visas that we're going through were still the same. Now, there might have been a little more hassle in the process, but it wasn't like when they're saying, "Oh, we're going to quote unquote close the border." They didn't get rid of the H-1B program; it still was there. Yeah. So it's like the changes are, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to disagree with me. I love it. But I feel like we overemphasize that. And I think in some ways we abdicate responsibility for action. And that concerns me. So I guess if I were to say anything, I would want to inspire people to say, listen, you can't control what you can't control. You can't control your externalities.
That's right.
You can't control your internalities. You can control, how hard are you pushing, how creatively are you thinking? How are you collaborating differently and thinking strategically in your business? You can control all that. And that has 90% of the impact on the outcome.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So I'm glad that you said that, because I sat in a session earlier today that was given by 3 stellar professionals, and I'm just going to flip into the mobility program because I want to use this as an example, right? Because you were talking about survive in 25, and I'm sitting here thinking, no, you should thrive into 25,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But on this panel, it was interesting to me as I listened to what they were doing within their organizations to not just meet the challenges, but also think outside of the box, do something different, give the organization something, that would elevate their goals and strategies. And one of the things that I thought was interesting that they brought up is they did a survey to all of their internal people that had relocated with the company, but it was an inside, like an internal survey to their internal key stakeholders. And one of the panelists stated that it took about 6 months to get all the data. They used an outside source, but they were taking that data, reading through that data, listening to their populations to address not just key issues, but also listening to maybe new ideas that could be formulated by their own population that's gone through this experience. I would love to see like something like that done, and see that data and what these companies did with it. But I thought like that should give you a good base to start with maybe some new, fresh ideas.
Yeah, I love I'd love to have more data in our industry, and
Yeah.
I know that these studies can be very expensive to kind of execute, but
Yes.
I feel like there's got to be some way that we could do it fairly, less expensively. Like, can we, you know what I would love to see? I thought we should always have seen as an industry. You know how like the Fed will publish, quarterly inflation numbers, consumer price index numbers, consumer confidence numbers, all this type of stuff. Why can't we get quarterly, biannual data points like that from our industry associations, where they're pumping out a pulse survey? If you participate, you get the data, and it takes it's 10 questions, and then you measure those 6 data points that says 6 answers to those 6 same questions, and you measure them quarterly for 5 years, and now you can graph this. And also, I'd love to know what is your volume. In the freight industry, we see how many container loads are going out, how many truckloads are going out, how many X whatevers are going out, oil barrel production. Like, I want to see how many shipments are going out, how many assignments are going out, how many of those had household goods, how many of those had temp living, how many of those needed a visa, all that kind of stuff. I want to see data like that pushed out on a regular basis.
Well, so I know, probably not to that extent, but I think you're right. So and not to give a plug for this specific organization, but Morgan, if you're out there, Air Inc., and they're here today, they do run these different data points on a yearly basis, their global mobility survey, and they're posted on their website. But it's very specific questions based, around, different areas that they're looking to focus on. But I think like a general study maybe done by Worldwide ERC would be incredible. And sharing that. I don't know how they do that. Even FEM could do it too.
I don't think it would be hard to get. I mean, I think you get 1,000 emails, and you push it out quarterly, like almost like a MailChimp or a Google form, and you just vote. It's a survey. And then you just push the results out. I don't think. I mean, I oversimplify. Maybe Glomo's going to do that.
Why doesn't Glomo do that? Hey, look, we just created this. This is awesome.
We're just solving problems over here. We're not even drinking it. We're solving the world's problems.
No, we just got water.
We got water. I swear this is water.
It's water. We promise.
This is great. You want to leave us maybe with a final thought as we wrap, and I prepare to take a load off my feet.
I know you've been standing here for a while. Look at that. You've been on for almost an hour. This is incredible.
It's like a telethon.
I would say to everyone out there, keep your mind open, think about things differently, and know that the mobility industry is changing, and there's going to be a lot more disruptors that we may not have ever seen. So try to anticipate and think differently.
Love it. Meredith Morris,
thank you.
This is fantastic. Live here in Dallas.
Thanks everybody in our world out there.
Warwick Melrose Historic Hotel in downtown Dallas. We're going to wrap up here and enjoy the rest of FEM Day 1. Maybe hopefully that pool party is going to be open here shortly. Take care, everybody. Thanks, and see you tomorrow from FEM.